Welcome, friends and fellow horse fiends. You've landed on Come Ride With Me, a podcast dedicated to helping you find harmony, joy, and success in your riding. I'm your host, Anna Fox of Equus Enlightened. This pod isn't about training your horse, but about training you to be the best partner for your horse. Listen to find out how I use my intention to direct my ride. You'll hear how I decide what to focus on, what to say yes to, and when to redirect my horse. You'll see how not getting frustrated or overwhelmed is the easiest path to sanity and harmony. So, what are you waiting for? Come ride with me.
Okay, my perfectionist friends, today we are going to talk about our speed versus latency experiment that we talked about last episode, and I'm going to show you an example of it. And if you remember, latency is the time between a cue being given and the thing you want happening or a reward being given, right? So if I use a smartphone example in the podcast episode where we can pick up our smartphones, tap on a button, get what we want. That is speed. That is how smartphones became so popular. That's why we all love them. And that's why they can be very addictive for some people. Same concept with fast food. Anything that we can get instant gratification on, right? But a lot of times we mess this up when we're working with our horses, primarily because we ask for too many things at one time. And rather than developing speed in each part of a concept, we ask for all the things at once, and then there's this really long latent period because we're trying to adjust, we're trying to get all the things done that we want to do, and it doesn't happen fast enough. Then the horse doesn't know what we wanted, and then they're confused, and then sometimes we get confused, and it's like this vicious cycle. So the example that I challenged you with in the end of the podcast was a transition. Really, like most of us overthink this thing, right? We are like, I got to get my reins, I got to get all this together, okay, and then I'm going to say go, and he's like, well, do I need to go backwards? Do I need to go forward? Okay, and he kind of went forward, but it really wasn't like, yay, let's go forward, let's go walking, let's go somewhere. And that tends to bite us later on when we want impulsion for things, right? So if I teach my horse that the first thing I need is the speed, the first thing I need is for them to move off of my leg. And I talked about this a little bit last season in creating the freely forward horse. But it's really being consistent with your aids and then just getting the one thing, just getting the forward. So if I want him to go forward, I'm going to say, can you go? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Can you go? Can you go? Can you go? Can you go? And it doesn't really matter how you do your training. Now we've got a giant horsefly. If you use sort of pressure and release, which that example was just that, or if you use positive reinforcement, which we've talked a little bit about, and it doesn't matter how you teach your horse to do it. It's just a matter of that you teach them to do it, and there's a quick reward, a quick outcome, rather than this thing where I sit here and I do all these things. So I'm going to see this time, can we go? Can we go? Yeah. That was much better, right? So the other way that I want to use speed is now I'm going to say, can you go? Okay. And that was even a way better than the previous time, because you notice the last time I asked, I walked around the arena a little bit, and then I asked him again. But that very last time I said, oh, let's try it, and then let's stop and try it again. That makes things so much easier. So if you're not totally comfortable doing this on a long rein, on the buckle, That's totally fine, right? Say, can you go? Can you go? Yeah. And right now, even though I'm only asking him to kind of do a nice peppy walk, he's giving me a trot. I'm okay with that because I don't ever want to discourage him from going more forward than I asked him to when I'm working on forward as a concept. And that's another thing. A lot of amateur riders run into this problem where you want the horse to go but not too fast. And so then you end up not giving a reward or releasing the pressure quick enough. And so the horse is like, well, did you want me to go or not? Or what do you want? Be super clear and start doing it in these little moments here, from the halt to the walk, and then from the walk to the trot. So I'm going to say, can we go trotting now? Yeah, good boy. Not too bad. Wasn't super snappy, but it was decent enough. And good boy. Obviously, he knows this game. So now I'm not going to wait very long. Then I'm going to say, can you go again? Yay! And he's like, yeah. And he did go. Gave me a little bit of a braciness there, but that's totally fine. We're not worrying about that right now. And 9 times out of 10, good boy, once you get your horse accustomed to the speed, to making the transitions happen quickly, and you being rewarding of them, the braciness is actually going to work itself out. So let's try it now. I'm going to shorten up my reins. Now, if I did what I see most people do in their everyday, is they're like, all right, if I say prepare to trot, they're like, okay, get my reins together. I gotta think about this, okay? And I want to be perfect, and I want to get my horse to go perfect, and then I go, and then my horse, and then I'm like, oh, and now I'm going to trot around for 20 minutes like this, right? Because, you know, I got him trotting, and I don't want to lose it. That is a very long latent period, and your horse is going to get tired and not know what in the heck you asked them to do in the first place. So instead, if I say, all right, I'm going to prepare to trot with a little bit shorter rein. I'm going to go prepare to trot. It was a little bit, good boy, a little bit sluggish, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go again. Let's go. Let's go. I don't care if it cares. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. He's a little sticky, so it's taking a little bit longer, but there we go. Yes, good. What I did was I waited until he was not feeling sticky anymore. Then I asked him to come back. Wasn't pretty. My best riding position. I just wanted him to go. Like, keep it really simple. The rest will work itself out later, because now when I ask him to go, he goes. Now, it's a little bit bracy still there. Probably because he was wondering what in the heck I was going to do. But it's fine. So now, good boy. And you see, yeah, he's giving me a little bit of the bracy, a little bit of the, what are you doing? But that's okay. That's a different conversation that I can have now that I have forward. So now that I have forward, I can say, all right, so I want you to be a little bit up here, to be a little bit round. Yeah, I know, it's so hard. So a little bit of roundness. And what I like to do is say, okay, a little bit. Now, are you ready? Yeah, good boy. And he said, yeah, I'm ready. Good boy. Now, if I had put my leg on him and he had been like, oh, I don't know, I would have been like, okay, let's regroup, because something is not happening. Rather than doing what's typical, good boy, is that you see riders then apply more aids and go, 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 go. And then there's that really long latent period of we're kind of trying to squeeze the tube or the toothpaste out of the last bit of the tube. And the horse is not really understanding what's happening. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll try it in the other direction. I'm gonna start with a little bit of some contact. And we're gonna say, can you go? Yeah. Oh, good boy. Now, on the days that I want to think about making my transitions snappy and forward, I'm not going to ask him very often to trot for, or whatever the gait is, for a long period. Because, again, that's a long latent period. And then he's like, why am I doing this? I don't remember what the point was, right? But one of the things that I can do is if I have an issue where, let's say, I've gotten the speed in the transition, but he's still a little bit bracy, then I can see, well, if I ask him to go, he's nice and stretchy now. Good boy. Like, that's totally what I want, right? Is for him to be able to do these transitions in a stretchy position. You know, I also want him to be able to do them in a little bit of contact and even collect it, right? Depending on what level you're working at. So now we're gonna pick up our reins, test it. Good boy. Yeah. And he says, yeah, I got it. So now, if I wanted to go and ask him to do something maybe a little more difficult, a little more collection, and here he's like, ugh, that's kind of hard, I don't know. So a little fussy with his head, a little bracy, but I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm not going to start fidgeting and doing weird things and causing this long latent period. I'm going to hang out with him until he goes, oh, I could. Good boy. And then release. Good job. Say, yeah. Good. 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 And he was good, like he went forward, but still a little bit of bracy, not sure with the head and neck. Again, that's still a forward issue, but now I can go, okay, what did I need to tune up there to make that happen? When things like that happen, the energy is not flowing, right? There's something lost in your cycle of energy. Yeah. So there. And that's also why, typically, if you do the transitions quicker, you add that speed just in between them, that you will also get a better result, because what you're asking is fresh, right? You're not walking around and changing the game and then asking again. Horses have a pretty short attention span. If I'm letting a long time go by in between a request, I'm also making learning harder.
Let me say that again.
If I'm letting a long time go by in between a request, I'm also making learning harder. And that may seem like a little thing, right? Where he had a nice halt, and then I was like, good boy, and he immediately went forward. That's a sign that his self-carriage wasn't good. Like, he felt like he was pretty bad. I could tell that when before I let go of the rein that was probably going to happen because I'm familiar with him and I have a pretty good feel. But if you don't notice, you do that with your horse and they step out right away, they weren't really balanced in that halt. So always working on the self-carriage at every level. And that can come back to bite you, like in a dressage test if you're competing, right? You think you've got this really great halt, and then you go to salute and boom, they step out of it. So definitely something to practice at home. And you notice that I give him lots of breaks. I ask for something, I get what I want, I give a reward, and I give a release. I say, okay. Too many times we're going around and around and around and we're drilling stuff. We're not giving a break. We're not releasing the pressure. We're not giving a reward. And then the horses are just like, why? What's the point in my doing this? So you play with this with your own horses and, you know, try really hard and see what happens. And then just make a quick request and then repeat it, right? Quickly say, can you trot? Yes, okay. Good boy. And if he just said no, good job. And I can give him, depending on where I am in my training, like if that is just the bestest thing ever because my horse is a little behind the leg normally, or they tend to get their head up right away, they're not balanced, or they're not relaxed, but they did that, then I want to give a huge release. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Now for him, that particular skill is already in there. So I don't, I don't feel the need to give him a huge yay dude for that. Some days, though, and this is important, some days you may need to, because some days they're going to come out in a little bit different mood, and so you just need to be prepared for that. And like I said, you can do this at every single gate with every single thing. Another thing that, another example, I remember, if you guys have listened to my podcast before, I'm sure I've told this story. The wonderful Karen Rolfe one time asking me, how did I ask for shoulder in? And I gave this super long discussion answer on how do I get a shoulder in. And she like stopped me and was like, hold on. And said, if you were cantering down center line at the Olympics, what would you want to be thinking about? And obviously, and excuse my French here, but what I would want to be thinking about is this is fucking cool, okay? I don't want to be thinking about, like, is my horse straight? Can I keep the canter going? Am I going to stop? Is it going to be square? Is it, like, all of that stuff needs to be automatic, right? So, a lot of people, though, especially in the lateral work, we do just like we do with going forward. Push, push, push. And you hear instructors say this all the time. Keep your leg on, keep pushing, push every stride. No, that makes your life way more difficult as you get more advanced. So teach your horse to maintain. So, do I want to go shoulder in? I say, can you put your shoulder in? Oh yeah, okay, good boy. Now, good job, buddy. Who cares if that is arena perfect? That's dressage test perfect. It's a simple question. Can you put your shoulder on a different track and walk? Some horses are going to say, no, I can't. Oh, I'm not coordinated enough to do that. You didn't teach me that yet, right? So then, this is when we get in our latent trouble because we're like, but if I keep, all right, my inside leg at the girth, my outside leg is a little bit back. Oh, my hands. Oh, but I don't want to pull on the inside rein. But yeah, okay. Let's keep trying to do that. And then the horse is like, okay, well, all right, you just keep doing all those things and I'll keep doing whatever this is I'm doing, but I don't know what that is. instead, I could say, if I say, can you, oh, and he's like, oh, I don't think I can. And some horses will go faster, some horses will stop, some horses will just ignore you. They're like, I don't know what you want me to do. But I'm going to say, no, I don't want your butt over. It's a little harder because the rail is not, the camera is on the rail, so I am not on the rail. But I'm going to say, yes, there. Good boy. That's all I wanted. Yeah, simple, right? Cool. Of course, he already knows this. If he didn't know this, I would be like, oh, again, could we do that again? Oh, no. Ooh, no. Now, this is funny because it is a little bit hard for him in this direction, especially because this is where he really likes to more lean on his left shoulder. So he would much rather put his hiney out rather than bring his shoulder in. So it's actually a good little practice for him. So again, can you? Yeah, good. Right? Doesn't really matter how I get there. Doesn't matter. We have this whole thing about we have to have specific aids for specific things. Whatever works for you and your horse, just make sure you're consistent and learn it. Don't change your aids all the time. That's another issue with speed over latency because we are trying to change our aids all of the time and figure out something that will work. There's a long latent period because we're just moving around. I know he can do this at the walk. So I say, ooh, can you? Yeah, good. Now I'm not going to make him walk the whole length. Yeah, good. And probably if I was just teaching him and he didn't know how to do it at the walk, I would have just asked him for 1 or 2 steps. That might be all he can handle too, depending on his strength level. So, when you're thinking about getting your horse to go forward, getting your horse to do lateral work, do not drive every step of the way. Because when you want to do a zigzag half pass, you want to do anything that is in collection, driving every step of the way is going to make your life way harder than it needs to be. You can teach your horse self-carriage in the forward too. Self-carriage is not just like the top of the pyramid. Self-carriage is at every level. So teach your horse at every request that they have some self-carriage in that. So let's see. Now we've walked around a little bit. Probably. Good boy. Not bad. I had to do a little bit more than think trot, but he didn't get bracy about it, so I like that. So let's try again. Good. And again, it's not a super forward peppy trot, but also I'm not, I don't have him up in collection and I'm not asking him, So we can have different gears for different days. Horses appreciate that, actually. A lot of times we're taught you always have to make them, have to do that. Always. That is so not true. It's boring.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Come Ride With Me. My goal is to demonstrate to riders that we don't have to do something every second of a ride. We don't have to do things a certain way or at a certain time. Just staying present with your horse and gathering non-judgmental information about how they are going is way more beneficial than overthinking and overworking. If you'd like to learn more about what I do at Equus Enlightened, you can find me at equisenlightened.net or on patreon.com/equisenlightened. You can also find me on social media as Equus Enlightened. I will put all the links in the show notes. And until next time, happy riding. Oh, before you go, please remember to rate, review, and share this pod so others can find it. I would love constructive criticism, but like my mom used to say, if you don't have anything really nice to say, there's no need to say it. Just ride on, my friends. Have a great week.